Okay, so this is how the full kit comes. It says 5-minute perm on there. It's called Permania Eyelash Lifting Kit. And it comes with all this stuff, okay? It comes with everything you can want. So here are the lash perm rods, and it comes with 3 different models and 16 pairs total. So you get a lot of options with them. And they're color coordinated, so you can remember which one you use on which client, or you can make a note on their account. And in the back of this cover, it shows you the 3 different type of curls within it, okay? This is why I love this, or these rods, way better than the dolly lash, because we have 3 options. It's not just the same type of curl. And in the dolly lash kit, the way the forms are, they're more just like the L shape. That's the only way they come. They just kind of go straight up, okay? But this one, you have options of having a U curl or a C-snail. So let me explain the logic behind these curls. So I thought this one actually kind of looks like a D curl because it looks curlier, and then this one's the C curl. But now when we look closely, you can see, even though the form of it looks fatter, but what it does when the form is a little bit fatter, it gives less of a curl right here. So then actually the C-snail, it's easier to remember as well, is more like a C curl, like an average curly, and then the U curl is like really curly, kind of like a D curl. And now I can actually see it. It's kind of like a upside down or inverted D. And the L one, like I said, it's a straight base, then it goes up, kind of like an L curl in eyelash extensions, or eyelash curler, so it goes straight up, okay? So I guess that's the curliest look you get, but you may get like a little straight up look. And this one's like a D curl, you get a rounder curl, and this one's like a C curl, so more of a natural curl, depending on what your client wants. So it's good because with the kit, you get everything you need. And later on, when you run out of your solutions, all you need to buy is the solutions. You don't have to buy the whole kit again. And then it comes with the 3-step process of the lifting, and that's what we're doing in the video. They come in little individual packets like that, so they stay nice and fresh. And in each there's 10, okay, 10 different ones in there. And I think you can use it on 1 or 2 clients each. And the last thing it comes with, which is amazing, is the tools you're gonna use, which within this box, it was the glue to hold the perm rods in place, and this tool to lift the eyelashes up. And that was in this box, the glue was in this, and it also comes with a keratin boost, which is great. It's basically an eyelash tonic that helps grow the natural eyelashes. So this is something you can either treat your clients as they come in as a little extra add-on for them, or you can even sell it separately to your client or whoever wants them as a take-home item. So it's really cool. Hope that helps. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put the under eye patches and hold down her bottom eyelashes just like we do with eyelash extension. So her eyelashes, we're actually doing a touch-up lift. That's why you could see they're already kind of lifted, because it's been about 2 months since we did her previous lift. So that's why they're actually nice and tiny bit curly, but we can see it's still kind of messy from the side. Close. You can see they're still kind of messy. The new ones that grew out are straighter in between, and the old ones are kind of curlier if you look closely. So that's why it's time for us to redo it, and so they can look nice and lifted. But usually the lash lifts or perms, it lasts about 2 months. Some people get it touched up every month or every month and a half. But usually 2 months should be good, but it really depends on how fast somebody's eyelashes are growing. So that's pretty much what we do to the under eyes, okay? So we don't have to tape it and make it too much because it doesn't really get in our way as much as extensions. So that's the first thing we do. Next thing we do is we're gonna pick a form we're gonna use. So for her, I picked this form, and this is a L-shaped form. What means is it's kind of at a straight angle. So what it means is when we put the eyelashes up, it's gonna go straight up, kind of like an eyelash curler, or kind of like how the L eyelash extensions are, okay? So there's different forms in this kit. There is like a C curl and like a D curl form too. So in the kit, they're called C, U, and L. So this is the L shape we're using, that's the form. And then on these forms, in the back, it says like L or left or right, L or R, so you know which ones is for which eye. That's why this kit is also great compared to the dolly one that we used to use. So this one's the right eye. I'm gonna leave this here for the left. So then what we do is we use a glue. So this glue is basically the glue that comes with the kit, and it's gentle enough to be removed with water. So we're gonna glue the form down onto her eyelids. Okay, so that's the first thing we do after taping down the bottom eyelashes. Oh, you don't really have to prime for the lash lifts because the solution is so strong. Even if there is a little bit of residue of whatever, it's gonna go ahead and still work, but you do want to make sure they're nice and clean. Like some people, if they have a lot of oil, that may get in the way, so you want to clean it a little bit. But like I said, the solution is pretty strong, so you don't have to really worry about priming it too much. So now we're gonna glue this as close as we can to the eyelid, okay, the lash line. So the closer it is, the nicer the lashes are gonna curl on top of it. So I'm gonna go right in and I'm gonna glue it, and I want to hold it in place, make sure it stays. And what I can do is also I can lift and make sure I put it as close as possible. If I need to, I can push it down a little bit so it dries as close as possible. Now I'm gonna do the same thing to the other eye while that one dries. I like this form a lot more, honestly.
Yeah?
It's so much easier to work with than the dolly kit. It's more rubbery, so it sticks like exactly where I want it to. I have more control over it. So then you can't really come too close to the lid when they're not as flexible as this one. I love it. Get so excited, it's like candy. So if somebody has smaller eyes, you can just put the rod anywhere you need it from the middle, and they can stick out from both sides. So you don't want to put it to the left too much or to the right too much. You want to put it still in the middle, because that curved part, yeah, that's how it's designed. So now, since she did have a previous lift, I'm gonna make sure I brush her eyelashes as much as I can to get them as straight as possible, so when I'm curling them on the form, they're as straight as possible. Okay, so this next step is the most important step because it's what's going to determine the shape we're going to give it to her natural eyelashes. So I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to use the same glue on top of the lash form to glue her bottom eyelashes, to glue her eyelashes up. You can use this tool that it comes with to go ahead and lift them up, or you can use a brush, or you can use tweezers. So a lot of times I like using tweezers, but this kit comes with this tool, so we're gonna try it and see how it works, and it's called Magic Wand. So our goal, try this side first, our goal is to lift the eyelashes as straight up as possible, like that, okay, and divided. We don't want anything crisscrossing. We want them to go up as nicely as possible. And since her natural eyelashes are long, you could see they're kind of staying off the form there, which is okay, because we don't want to put the perming solution all the way on her tips anyways, because we don't want to burn them, because usually that's the part that's more damaged. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my time with this. And if the glue has dried, I can put a little bit more and I can continue. So my goal is to get all of them nice and up like that. That's why for people who naturally have nice long lashes, but they're really straight, like her natural lashes were really straight before, this is the best solution for them, and they don't have to do anything else, like curl them every day or get extensions. Then this is usually good enough. You could see how this one, if you come closely, you can see this one. You see how it's curled right at the edge there? You see how that was a curl done before, but look how much it grew out since then. So that's why we're redoing it now, and that's why we're gonna kind of stay off that end, because we don't want to double process it. So this glue is actually thicker than the dolly lash one. So far it's a little bit easier to work with because it doesn't dry as quickly. But But let's see, my only concern is removing it to make sure it's also still easy to remove, because I don't want to spend too much time trying to remove it off of the form later. So they come in little packets like that, so it stays really fresh. Although I think this is for single use, but I feel like there's enough in here to use it on 2 clients. And the kit originally comes with 10 packets, so technically it's for 10 clients, but then all the rods, everything, all the tools you can reuse. You only need to replace and buy the little solutions, which I think it's a lot cheaper. But I like the idea that it's individual packets. It stays nicer and cleaner, it doesn't dry. I feel like it stays more fresh as well. So when I'm applying this solution, it's really important for me to apply kind of like underneath as well, not to go in the eye, but make sure we're covering all the lashes, because that's how they're gonna curl. If we don't, they're not. And you can see I'm kind of staying off the little end still, because I don't want to double process that since she had a lift prior. With this perming kit and lifting kit, we're only gonna wait 5 minutes and then test and see how well it's working. Okay, so this one works a lot faster. The dolly lash, you wait 10 to 15 minutes. This one's supposed to be only 5 minutes. So we're gonna test it out and see if it actually works in 5 minutes. Maybe we'll leave it for 2 more minutes, because it says maximum you should leave it on there is 7 minutes. So what I do is I use a little bit of end paper, not tissue paper, because you want it to be like a waxy material that doesn't absorb everything. We want it to just be very, very thin to hold up all the baby hairs, okay? And you can see the solution coming through like that, which is what we want. We don't want it to look dry when we put this on. I want to make sure there's enough solution. And this is to hold all the baby hairs that may be sticking out, to make sure those also curl up. Okay, so this is kind of my secret that I do. You can use end papers, kind of like how people use for perms, like hair perms, or another secret, it's the same material. You can use the toilet seat covers and cut little pieces. So now I'm gonna remove all of the first solution, which is the solution that holds or that actually breaks down the natural shape of the eyelashes to recreate and reform onto the form that we're trying to give it. And we want to kind of see that the eyelashes are flexible and they're working with us. And that's how we know it's been enough time. If they're not, if you are touching them and they're not kind of staying the shape you move them, then it means it's not done yet. So now with warm water, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the rest of the solution. I wanna get it all off before I put the second solution. And I'm using Q-tips for this to not waste so many micro brushes, because it's easier to remove the solution with the Q-tips. The first solution does smell bad. It kind of smells like rotten eggs. If you guys never smelled it, that's normal.
And feet.
Or feet. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that her eyelashes are still nice and straight, or whichever part is not, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I do get them as straight as possible, because now whatever solution we put, or the second solution we put, that's the shape it's gonna take. So I don't want them to look funky. So all I want to do is I want to do my best to get them as straight as possible. Now I'm gonna put the second solution and this is gonna go ahead and lock in the new curl for her, and then we're pretty much done. The last thing we'll do after this is go ahead and put the nutritions back in her eyelashes, or the natural oils, and we do that with the step number 3, which is this one. It comes just like that. It's a nutrition oil. So the second solution you want to put kind of all over. You don't want to leave the tips out, just in case if you had gotten any of the first solution on the tips, you want to neutralize it. You don't want to leave it there for it to still continue to work. And that's very, very important to understand, is that if you don't clean it good enough, or if you don't do the second step, the first step doesn't really stop working with just water. This is what it's making it kind of stop working. So so what we did, basically there is 3 easy steps. Okay, the hardest part is to get them nice and straight up to take the form we wanted to take, which you guys saw. After that, all we do is we put the first solution, we leave it on for 5 minutes, we clean the first solution, which I just did, and then we're putting on the second solution. Second solution we want to leave on for 10 minutes. We want to make sure they're all covered. And now after I put the solution, I'm going to go ahead and put the timer for 10 minutes. So the second solution, it's okay if you leave it longer. So even if you leave it 12 minutes or 15 minutes, it's okay. It's not gonna hurt them. But the first solution is really, really important. You never leave it on more than 7 minutes for this kit. So between 5 to 7 minutes. If you leave it on longer, it is very serious. The eyelashes can kind of like melt off, kind of like over processing with bleach and hair. Okay, so be very careful with the first solution. Work as quickly possible, clean it off as quickly possible. When you apply it to the first eye, already start the timer, because that eye already starts processing. Okay, then apply it to the second eye, and then clean that same eye first, and then the other once your timer rings. So now I'm gonna go ahead and also put the end papers to hold up all the baby lashes, just in case. We're gonna go ahead and clean the second solution so we can put the nourishing solution, which is our step 3, and we're gonna leave it on for 5 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna clean this the same way, first with dry Q-tips, then with wet. But see now how nice and straight they are. I can see how nice they are. It's so exciting. And if the eyelashes are getting off the form like that, that's okay, that's normal, that's good, because it's going to make your life easier to get it off from the glue that's holding them to the form. Because at this step, you're already pretty much done with the curling process, so you don't really need them to stay there anymore. We're just going to put the nourishing agent next. Are you comfortable? Mm-hmm. Can take out the under eye patch, because we're already pretty much done. Now we just have to nourish her lashes. So after I cleaned it with dry Q-tips, now I'm gonna clean it with moist Q-tips. We're not gonna fully put too much water because from my experience with other lifting kits, you're not supposed to put too much water. So I just wiped it, but you see how this side still stuck pretty good on the form. And I'm gonna use the essence oil or the last step to remove it and to also treat it at the same time. I don't want to use too much water at this step because from my experience, if we do the lash lift, usually doesn't last as long. So this is kind of like a jelly oily material, so it should help us get the glue off of the form. So at this point I have already put the oil or the essence or step 3 on all of her lashes, and we're gonna let it sit for 5 minutes. You can see the size already coming off the form, which is good, and this one's starting to slowly come off too. So that's kind of what I would recommend to do with the essence, is put it on top of the form before you take it out, even though it tells you to take it out then put it, because like this you can avoid using extra water to make sure the solution or your process lasts you longer. What I'm doing is I'm actually also kind of putting a little bit of the essence treatment on her eyelid, since we did glue the form on her eyelid, and that's gonna help it. See, it's helping me remove the form easily off of her skin compared to just pulling it. So like this, it's a smoother, better process for everybody. Oh, and let me put my timer for 5 minutes. Ooh, they look nice. See, they're just nice and curled up. I can tell already they look stuck together like this because there's still the solution, the essence oil on there, and also a little bit of the glue. So we're just gonna let it sit and then we'll clean it and brush it off. So let me take this one out too. So when we removed that form a little bit lifted, and I guess that even the essence oil usually doesn't burn, or it's not uncomfortable for the client, but it was a little uncomfortable for her. So I'm gonna be very careful when I'm removing this form to make sure I don't lift her eye open at all, so no solution, nothing gets in her eye. So as much as I can, you see I'm pulling it kind of more downwards and not lifting her eye to avoid any discomfort. That was better for that eye?
Yes.
Okay. Open. So this is basically like a conditioning treatment for the eyes. We're gonna let it sit for 5 minutes. I already put the timer, but I'm also gonna start to brush them a little bit to make sure it gets between every eyelash, so we can treat all her eyelashes. And now the forms, while we're waiting for the 5 minutes, I can go ahead and clean the form. So when I'm done, I'm fully done with her. So you can clean this and all the little sticky part off of it using rubbing alcohol, okay? And then disinfect it, of course, to use it on the next client. So now that it has been 5 minutes, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wipe the excess off, which is the sticky part from her eyelid. I should also get that glue off. And I'm gonna gently wipe the eyelashes as well. Now, the instructions aren't really clear if we just leave this oil on there so it can continue working, or do we wash it after 5 minutes? But normally with lash lifts, you don't want to wash it or put any water for 24 hours after the procedure, so we should just leave the oil on there. So that's the process I'm gonna follow, and then we'll see how it works. Most likely that's gonna be perfect, and then after she washes it, everything should pretty much be gone, all the solutions, and the eyelashes can just stay how we want them to stay. And right now we can already kind of see the curl as her eyes are closed, but we would really be able to see when her eyes are open and after we wash it after the 24 hours and dry them. So for now, I'm just gonna take the excess moisture off of them. So here's a straight overview. Go ahead and try opening. Anything burning? Wow, they look nice. So they're stuck together right now because we still have the oil on there, but damn, she has beautiful natural eyelashes, and now they're really nicely curled up, and I really love it. Actually, I love it way more than the Dolly kit. to be honest with you. We had a few question marks because instructions weren't so great in this kit, but hopefully this video would be better instructions for you guys. And yeah, so we'll just follow up with her in 24 hours after she washes it, so we can see the eyelashes that are not going to be kind of sticking together like that from the oil. But the curl looks really good. I'm very happy. All right.
Barely started.
Stop moving.
Okay, okay. They look good.
Yeah. No, don't. You open.
I'm not opening. Relax.
You kind of opened. Did it get in your eye?
No, I didn't open.
I saw your white part of your eye.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one?
Your left one.